Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. Today I'm here with my good friend Cristina Kudlock. We're going to be talking about SEO. She's a part of the Investor Fuel Mastermind, and she's kind of our resident SEO expert. And today we're going to share some awesome tips with you.
Professional real estate investors know that it's not really about the real estate. In fact, real estate is just a vehicle to freedom. A group of over 100 of the nation's leading real estate investors from across the country meet several times a year at the Investor Fuel Real Estate Mastermind to share ideas on how to strengthen each other's businesses, but also to come together as friends and build more fulfilling lives for all of those around us. On today's show, we're going to continue our conversation of fueling our businesses and fueling our lives. I'm glad you're here.
Awesome.
Hey Christina, welcome to the show.
Hey, I'm so excited to be here. Thanks for having me, Mike.
Yeah, glad to have you here. And we were talking a little bit up front about what you've been working on. It's interesting because you do a lot of SEO stuff. You're really a virtual investor yourself, and talking about moving and having different places you live in the country. That's actually one of the interesting things about SEO is it's not really, you don't have to define yourself to one market. Like you could go do stuff in other markets, and you could just go jump in another market if you're virtual. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. It provides a lot of flexibility for sure.
Right. And when you get good at it, as you probably know, there's like, so I know you're doing very well in LA, which seems like it'd be a hard market to crack into, any major market, right? But I'm sure you probably know there's some secondary markets that you could probably go in. And in SEO in major markets, like my thought has always been, or just from talking about it, is like, hey, it's hard to crack in big markets. But if you're in a secondary, tertiary market, you can probably own it with a little bit of effort, But I know you're proving us wrong by owning LA.
Well, I kind of went into it like probably a little bit naive and was just like, I was super impacted by Trevor at Carrot at the beginning of my real estate journey. And I was just like, and he's very much like, no, you can be at the top in any market. So I was like, okay, and just went for it. And it's been great.
That naivete, is that what they say? Is a good thing. I mean, if you don't know, like even when I started in 2008, if I had listened to more experienced real estate investors that are saying, oh my God, don't get in right now, the market's terrible. Like we did really well. We like crushed it when we first started without any previous experience, and partly because we just didn't have baggage and we didn't listen to naysayers.
It really is. Yeah. Sometimes, and off topic, but hiring people, a lot of times investors go and they look for other people who have already done it. But in my, whether it's a cold call or a text or whatever, and you come with these bad habits as opposed to not knowing anything and just figuring out what works for you, because we all have different skill sets and different, what works for us. So just, figuring out along the way.
So tell us a little bit about your background, how you got into real estate investing.
Yeah. So I actually started with real estate investing by reading a wholesaling book. And I had always been, really interested in real estate my whole life. My parents, they like flipping houses, not as a business, but just, live in one and move on to the next.
Yeah.
But from my point of view, usually when we think about getting started in real estate, it's like become a realtor or something, and
Sure.
And I went that route for a little while, did not enjoy it whatsoever, and decided to, and then just, whatever. Anyways, I picked up a book on wholesaling one day, and I was like, what, you can do that? That's like, and then I've just been hooked ever since.
Do you remember what book it was?
You know what? It was like, I don't remember, Preston something. It was like literally a $2.99 on Amazon, like an ebook kind of a thing, like just real simple. And then from there, it's
interesting how little things are like a catalyst sometimes. So it's not even necessarily what you read. It's just like it just spurred a thought or spurred like researching more or taking it to the next level. So it's amazing.
Absolutely. It gets you, from there you start asking better questions,
right.
and just spirals out of control.
Yeah, out of control. Out of control
Yeah.
probably is the right phrase there. So
Yeah.
awesome. Well, we're gonna talk about a bunch of stuff inside of SEO that you and I talked about a little bit up front. But I think a lot of people, they either spend time on it or they think it's a waste of time, or they just think it's a good idea but they never get to it. And so I know we're gonna talk about a bunch of that, but maybe let's just kind of start off by saying, why is SEO important? There's lots of ways you can advertise, but why is SEO important, would you say?
Wow. Well, I mean, if you just look at the way our world is going, I mean, everything is online, and online is where you have people's attention anytime. I can't tell you how many leads that I've gotten through SEO that people say, yeah, I have this stack of mailers, but then I lost them. And, so they go looking for their answers. And where do we go to look for anything? We go to Google or
Right.
online. And so I just feel like that's the direction the world is going. And, it's not the kind of, it's definitely a supplement. You don't, at least for us as real estate investors, you don't, it's kind of waiting for the leads to come to you, and
Sure.
we're always looking for more leads, right?
Right.
So
right.
it's not so much like the hunting and, going out like cold calling or texting would be.
Right.
But it also really does help to build your credibility for those other things too. You get tons of people who are like, well,
Absolutely.
Let me see your reviews. Let me see, your website. They want to make sure you're credible. So that lends to all of it too. And so it really does supplement, other forms of marketing
For
too.
sure.
But I mean, I just believe that the SEO leads are just always the best. They're always my biggest deals. They're the ones that come to you ready. You're not having to do months of follow up, and not all of them, but
I know not everybody's like me, but I'll be honest with you. Whenever I look for something on Google, I generally skip the ads because I don't want to see who bought their way there, because I know enough to know anybody could buy their way there. Like, show me people that earn their way there. Like, that tells me something about that company, right? So absolutely. I know not everybody is that way, but that's generally how I use Google.
Same.
Yeah.
Same. Yeah. I mean, it depends depending on what it is, but yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of like, it's like a review almost. It's like, they couldn't have gotten there without a lot of effort, and I want to reward effort. It's like crossing a threshold for me. It's kind of like, wow, they were, especially if it's a competitive area. I'm like, wow, these guys are at the top. Like, they must put some effort into this. They care about their business, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Awesome. So let's talk a little bit about, what are some of the kind of foundations? Like, people can go hog wild. They can hire a bunch of agencies or in-house people to do so. What's kind of like the foundation of what your website should have?
Totally. Yeah. And as we were saying earlier, when we talk about SEO, the website's the foundation for all of it, but technically that's not what SEO is. But in order to have good SEO, you definitely need that foundation there.
Right.
And I'll keep saying it again, because Carrot, they're killing it. If you look at the top results in almost any market, it's almost, if Carrot's not the top one, it's one of them. And so they definitely know what they're doing. And I have zero, I'm not techie, coding and all of that is just really, that's not I don't enjoy it. I don't get it.
Right.
So they just provide a really good foundation for all of that kind of behind the scenes stuff that Google cares about and looks at, and for their algorithms to make sure that that you do have a good website. So they take care of all that for you, and then just make it really, really easy to customize it yourself. I would say though, when Carrot does give you a website, they're giving that same website to everyone. And when Google looks at that and they see, so let's say you take Carrot's website and you just make it go live, you don't do any customization, Google's going to start to, it's not going to hold your website in high value because it sees it's a duplicate of all of these other websites.
Right. It's generic. So it's just a shell at that point.
Exactly.
Right.
So first number one, foundational tip for everyone is customize everything. Do not use any of they give you kind of a really good roadmap to what you talk about on your website, but
Yeah.
even if you go and rewrite it all in your own words, but you want it to be 100% unique and custom from you.
Yeah.
Another really good tip that if that makes it easier to crack into your market is use it's called like a URL word counter. And so just Google one of them. There's tons of them. And you can put a website in and whatever. So if you're giving a direct, the URL for a website, it's going to tell you how many words are on that homepage for that website. And if you go and you look at all of your competition and see like the top 3 websites and they have, let's say, 1,800 words, or it can vary. Some will have like 700. Trying to do like a couple hundred more than because Google likes a lot of content. So that will make it easier for your website to rank.
That's interesting. And then, so they prefer more content, and you're saying the homepage, because that's where most people, if you do a Google search, you're going to find a homepage probably.
Well, really any page though. I mean, the homepage is the one we work on the most to rank, but then let's say you go and you make city pages for, for Riverside, as opposed to just like Los Angeles. My homepage, that's all geared for just Los Angeles. But then I have all these other pages because, people might, even though they live in Los Angeles or these smaller neighborhoods, they might not type in something like sell my house fast Los Angeles. Maybe they do sell my house fast Torrance, which is a neighborhood in Los Angeles, and so you make another web page specifically for that. And so you can, and then in that sense, you would look at like, okay, so sell my house fast Los Angeles or Torrance, where are all of what are the websites that are coming up? And oftentimes you'll see that there's different words for each page. So you look at that, and then you know how much content you need to bring.
Yeah, and that's a general guideline is you can say do some searches for keywords, find out who your competition is, right, and then find out how to do it better than them, right? I mean, essentially.
Absolutely, yeah. And I mean, I was talking with someone the other day. They were like, well, what about like Apple? Apple, they don't have very many words on their website. It's like, yeah, but Apple already has built-in credibility. Everybody, like, you type in Apple, it's the first thing that's going to come up because their brand recognition, right? Whereas like a little investor like me, or really anyone in LA, like Google doesn't automatically know who that is. So they're looking at your website to determine that, and the more content you give them, the higher it makes it easier to rank. Yeah,
that's great. Would you say homepages rank higher, or if somebody finds your homepage, based on the number of pages and the content of the pages, like behind the homepage, like if you have like lots of articles or blogs or city pages, things like that? Does that help? I mean, does volume always better?
Not necessarily, no. I wouldn't say like the number of pages. It's just the number of pages really gives you what you want to look at is each page is an opportunity for someone to type in a set of keywords or a keyword and be able to find you that way. So it doesn't necessarily mean Google sees that and they're like, oh, this one is the most credible. You're just giving yourself more chances because each page is kind of like geared for a specific kind of, whether it's like for foreclosure, or probate kind of a thing. You have all these different pages. That page is an opportunity for people to find you based on what they're searching.
Yep. So up front we were talking about how some people just and I think we'll add a link for Carrot down below. Probably most people that are listening to this already have a Carrot page, but if you don't, we'll add a link so you can get directly there. Trevor's a member of our Investor Fuel Mastermind. In fact, he's one of our founding members. Great guy. A lot of people use them, and some of the times the biggest complaint is like, well, our sites all look the same. But if you were to go install a WordPress theme right now, it's the same out of the box too. Like, it's not intended to be like a totally done for you, everything you need all in one. It's you have to, no matter what website you start, you have to customize it.
You're going to have to custom it. Yeah. And the thing is too, I think where a lot of people were thinking they are all looking the same is, and Carrot's really great about doing all these updates. They do one every like year.
Sure.
Yeah. About 2 years ago, the website that they were giving everyone has the sidebar, and like a widget, and then they give everyone the same widget. So that, again, you really have to go in and especially like the pictures that Carrot gives you, change all the pictures, change everything.
Yeah.
And but the newer websites, but you could take off the widget too. And now with what they're giving you, I mean, it's a blank slate. You can change everything. And
Yep.
that was actually my hesitation with Karen at first too. I'm like, they all look the same, so I just went in and was changing everything. And yeah, there's only so many ways you could do
Sure.
a seller's website anyway.
Right. Yeah. So what are some of we talked about it a little bit, but what are some of the kind of basics? Like, I think I've heard Trevor say in the past, like, hey, the About Us page is generally one of the most viewed, but like, what are some fundamental stuff? Like, you must have this, whether it comes with a new theme or not. Like, what are some things that if somebody bought a site, they had a site that's up and they really haven't touched it, and you're like, hey, if I could tell you like a couple things to go do like right now, than anything else.
Credibility boosters all day. Your social signals, directing people to, looking at your reviews. Here's my Google reviews. Here's my Facebook reviews. Here's my Better Business Bureau. Links to everything that's just like credibility.
Yeah.
Whatever you can do to, that's the first thing. I mean, you have the hero section. It's basically kind of the main picture that Carrot gives you, and the lead capture form. The lead capture form you want first, obviously, like that needs to be right there, because there's a lot of people that would come to your website that don't necessarily care. They're probably going to like 15 websites, dropping their information everywhere so that they can just start collecting offers. They don't really care to read the whole thing. So you want the lead capture right there, first thing they see. And then a lot of people they need to know, well, who are you? What are, tell me about your company. What's your process? And that's what, the rest of the website is.
Yeah.
For.
How are you different? Yep.
Yeah.
So talk a little about how to kind of consistently make tweaks, because I think like it's the same thing in direct mail. People say like, well, I have the list, as if it's the static list that doesn't change, right? And I think same thing with a website. People like, well, I've updated my site. I've got some content on there. It's like they just kind of do enough to like check the box and stop. And we're, as real estate investors, small entrepreneurs, we're wearing a lot of hats. So we'd love to check something off and say we're done, but done isn't done. In SEO, you're never done, right? So how do you like consistently make tweaks, and how do you consistently kind of set up time to make sure that you do that? Because it's definitely one of those things that you're like, well, nothing's on fire, but I know I should probably do it. So a lot of people just don't get to it.
Yeah. And I mean, if you're brand new or, just have a site that you haven't paid attention to yet, I mean, even if it's going through one page at a time and customizing each one, I would say the very first thing, if someone's looking for an action item, is just customize their website to the fullest extent, really. All the pictures need to be different. All of the, if you're using the kind that has like the widget bar to the side, changing all of that, and just, making it more about your company and getting like, it's an awesome idea to have your own picture on it too, because it gives people, just they're more comfortable, and they know who they're calling, or at least, who's the person that's going to be buying their house. And it just, I wish I had like some kids that I could put in mine.
You could rent some kids. You could rent some kids, or rent some dogs. Like, yeah. But the point is like, hey, if you have a family, use it. If you have a team,
Absolutely.
use the team. Like, if you have some acquisitions people and admin, like, here's a picture of our team. We're here to help you. Like, kind of use who they're really interacting with, right?
Yeah, humanize it and make people just comfortable and be like, you know what, this, like, I've gotten so many people that are like, I just, you seem like a nice lady, and they're just feel, more comfortable talking to you, especially, in the real estate industry. A lot of people, sharks and stuff like that. And so like a familiar face who's like, made all these videos, they've had a chance to connect with you,
Right.
and they're just more comfortable.
Yeah,
Yeah.
especially if you're smaller and and you're on the phone with people too. If they see your website and they're like, wait, I saw your picture online, like they know, like they made the connection, like, oh, I'm actually talking to you. I figured, because they
Yeah.
probably figured that was just like
They love that. Yeah.
some
They love to
picture
call
of
on
some
you.
random dude, Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.
What kind of guidance can you give for, I guess, kind of consistently creating content? So some people like hate to write, video is easier, but some people are afraid of the camera. But you have to have some consistency to say like, hey, every house I go to, I'm going to create a video, or
Absolutely.
every Friday I'm going to create 5 videos, or some kind of like something you can block time and just chip away at a little bit here and there, right?
Totally. And if you are out in the field, like if for and it doesn't even have to be you yourself, like the owner of whoever website it is. If you have an acquisitions manager, put it on them. It's
Right.
just it's about creating content and giving people a chance to see that you're real, what you're doing, and just connect with you. For me, like we were talking about, I do a lot of virtual, but I do still go to some houses. I try not to, but like anytime I am at a house, I absolutely like I
Yeah.
take advantage of that and make a piece
That's the
while I'm
best.
there, and it
That's
doesn't.
the best stuff. It's very relevant, right? You're
Yeah,
at a house, and if you're reviewing the site, you're probably thinking about selling your house. Oh, here they are at a house, and even if it doesn't look like yours, it's just like it just makes the connection of this is a real thing.
totally. Yeah, it shows that you're real.
Yeah, and when you do that, you can drop keywords like for the city. Like if you're looking to sell your house in Dallas, I'm at a house in Dallas right now. We just helped a seller, and you probably do a lot of stuff like dropping like, here's the situation they were having, trying to relate back to like we help people, and we also help people. You could say, well, look, her mother died, and we're selling mom's house, and we help people in situations like that, and here's several other situations where we help people. It's just like,
Yeah. Well, and then especially like showing how, and I know like because there's so many go-givers in Investor Fuel, people really do go above and beyond for the people that they are buying houses from, and create these just crazy different kinds of solutions to help them, and talking about that and showing that, hey, we're not just buying your house, we're actually going to make it convenient and provide a solution that just really takes the burden off of people.
Right. Yeah. I think it makes it real, because there's so many other sites out there look kind of canned, and they're like, but when they see real people dealing with real things, they call and I'm talking to that same person that's in the video, and they're the same one that's going to come out to my house. And not everybody's set up that way, but I'd say disproportionately a lot of real estate investors are smaller teams. So that's cool. Awesome. So
Yeah.
go ahead.
I mean, to piggyback on what you're talking about, like action items too, if there's people who aren't in houses every day, like I'm not in houses every day, I'll just give myself like one day a week where I go and just bank not photos, but bank videos. And I'll even like go change an outfit so it looks like a different day, choose a new backdrop, and it's I hate video. Like it's something I have to make myself do. Like I absolutely hate it, but it's a necessary evil when we're talking about online marketing.
Yeah. And I think people like, this, I don't want this to sound negative. The type of people that are in a difficult situation, they need our help. Like they don't really care how you look. They don't want you to look like a serial killer, but like they're not worried about like, can you see the pimple like on the back of your neck? No, nobody can see that, and nobody cares even if you have it. It's like we're kind of buying imperfect houses from people in imperfect situations. Like they don't care if you're perfect.
Yeah.
And so just be yourself, and at the end of the day, like just be helpful and tell the story. Like that's what it's not. You're not like, it's not a tryout for Hollywood or anything like that.
Right. No, yeah, I know. And who was I was talking to someone else about it the other day, and they're like, I just like hate video. And I'm like, oh, me too. And he was like, really? I would have thought you liked video. I see all these videos, like I have a ton of them on my website. Yeah. It's like, no, like I have to force myself to do that. But
yeah.
It's just,
that's a good thing if you're listening right now and you think that way too, because I'll be honest with you, we've created over 1,500 podcasts, and I'm not always comfortable on video. I'm just like, I don't know what to say right now. Like, I don't really feel like it. Like, I find some excuse to not have to. I mean, the beauty of my podcast is it's scheduled in my calendar, and it's an interview, so I'm meeting with you.
Yeah.
But it's so much harder. Like I tried last year, I tried to start creating a bunch of podcasts, and I'll still do something like this where it's just like me in my car. But after 5 minutes, like I'm not even interested in what I'm saying anymore. So why would anybody else be? Like I could never do a half-hour video by
For
myself.
sure. For
But
sure.
like, but your videos, the type of stuff
And
we're
that's
talking
not
about,
what we, I
they
mean,
should
if
be
we're
like
talking,
3 to 5 minute videos anyway. They should be shorter.
I mean, if you're talking about like real, for us, like video content for sellers,
Yeah.
I mean, a minute max.
Yeah, shorties.
Unless you're really going, like you have an elaborate story, but like oftentimes I'll try to use like one piece of content and put it several different places where I'm like using it for an ad, putting it in, putting it on the website, just posting as a Facebook post, you know, and trying to think about, okay, let's not try to make this like, hey, it's Christina, I'm here on Facebook, you know, and making it so custom so that it can only be used for that one place, but like thinking about it where, you know, how can I maximize this and use it in multiple places too.
Yeah, and you could, you know, you don't want to lie, but when you go to a house, you could make several videos, several like brief stories about how you help people, right? And so you don't say, hey, we just,
and there's, because we have a ton of stories from, you know, all these deals that we've done. It doesn't have, like, the point is to show people how you're helping. It's not like, oh, it was this exact house, you know, it's just showing what you're doing.
Yeah, right. And the thing is like you said, you don't have to, they don't have to be these wild stories. I think one of the things that is most helpful for people is use the platform that you already have, which is looking at houses. You could make videos even if you're looking at a house and you haven't bought it. Like I just looked at this house and, you know, we're trying to help the seller in this situation. Like it doesn't have to be like
this is something
this perfect story of here's exactly what happened. I need to document that. It's like just use a house that you're already at. If you could force yourself to say, hey, every house that I go look at, I'm going to create one video or two videos. And here's a list of the types of stories that I want to tell. Like we help people in this part of town that are dealing with this and that and this and that. Just looked at this house here and I'd be happy to look at yours. Or, you know, something that's
absolutely
that's a little brief, but something like that. It's like, it doesn't have to be like a novel every time.
Absolutely. Yeah. Because people, they don't
have that attention span anyway.
People don't care. You know, nobody cares. They're just trying to see you're a real person. You know what you're doing. And, you know, a lot of the times it's not, you could have an amateur that's documenting everything, and then have somebody who's, you know, super seasoned but hasn't documented everything. For someone who's just around looking to sell a house, that, I mean, in that situation, the amateur is probably going to look like they know what they're doing more so just from the eyes of a seller who's looking for information. It's not not that technical.
Yeah. So what are some tools you use to help with SEO or even create content? What are some tools that you think people should know about? Like some I'm sure you've got some secret weapons that you tell everybody about, which wouldn't make it a secret, by the way. But
so like Moz and SEMrush, those are two really, really good tools for like checking out your competition, trying to see the kind of backlinks that, you know, that's one of the easiest ways to get backlinks is doing like a backlink checker for who's in your market. Look who's in the top 3 spots and look at their top backlinks and then go and just reverse engineer, right? But honestly, when we're my biggest tool for SEO is my VA. And she's just like, she's good with, I just love her. She does everything for me. A VA that doesn't cut it. Like she's not a VA. She does everything.
Yeah.
She edits all my videos. She puts them up. She knows how to optimize, because all of that can be very, very busy, tedious work.
Yep.
Like having a solid VA who knows how to do just all of the editing and the content and posting to Facebook. Sure. Like it is my life goal to avoid all social media as long into the day as possible, right? If I can stay off of Instagram and Facebook until like 3 o'clock, that's a great day for me, you know? And so like, it's kind of reverse to what I need to do though. Like I need to post every day. So just having somebody else to do that for you and just not have to do it all
Yeah.
yourself, like getting.
And your VA, is that something that you taught them that, or did they come in with some skills in that area already?
Yeah, you know, so my girl, I actually hired her as a cold caller, and she does still cold call. But she's just really like, there's stuff, just computer kind of stuff that
Yeah.
I just like, because again, I'm not techie at all. And I just send it to her, and she always figures it out. She knows.
That's awesome.
Yeah, she just does like all of, because I don't have any patience for like YouTube and all of that stuff. But I mean, for SEO, that's a lot of just busy work kind of stuff. So having somebody, I think she learned a lot of it actually on the job.
On the
And
job, yeah, that's how most things are, right? In our business, like learn on the job, just do it and learn,
yeah,
or train people to do it. I mean, there's so much information out there that you can
exactly.
educate yourself on from,
So like, yeah, and exactly, like trainings, and the last like Investor Fuel training, I had her on half of that stuff when at
Yeah.
the event too. And
Yeah.
so it was funny too, because she was watching it with me, and we were like kind of texting back and forth, and she's like, it was the Josh Kohler one, and she was like, oh, we need to start doing this, like just little tips that he was giving for like optimizing all of it. She was like, oh, I already looked for an article, I'm going to learn how to do that. And so it's cool. Just having
Yeah.
like a solid VA, I think is everything.
Yep. And you talk about a couple tools there. Talk a little more about backlinks, like the significance of that. A lot of people think that I guess, how do you weight what's more valuable? Is it the content you're creating or the backlinks to it? Or, I mean, I know you have to have both, but kind of share your thoughts on it.
You're looking for, so one of the easiest kind of backlinks to go after when you're getting started, especially, is citations. So that's like technically a Google My Business listing, that's a citation. That's Google's creating a business listing through their site. And which site is more credible than Google? Like, or another example, like Facebook. That's another kind of, it's a citation. You're having your own profile at a domain that's much higher than yours, because Facebook, I think their domain authority. And if you want to check to see what a site's domain authority is, use Moz. Moz is a great tool for that.
Okay.
And you could do like a little Moz installer on your browser, and it will automatically tell you what the domain authority is for any given site. And so getting citations, another one would be like yellowpages.com, Yelp. And so having a listing for your business at all of these different places can be really powerful, because you're lending from their domain authority, right? You have a backlink now that's pointing to your website that is hosted at Yelp or all of these places. And so and all of those kinds of sites naturally have a really high domain authority. So you're basically lending from that, and that's a good backlink.
Yeah.
So
awesome citations.
And they're just really easy and cheaper to get. So that's a great way to start.
Awesome. Well, this is we talked about a bunch of stuff here. Any kind of final words of wisdom? Like, if people were going to go do like one thing right now, or tomorrow they're going to set aside a couple hours to go do, like, what should that be, you think? Maybe just to build a plan, right? Of like,
definitely a plan, and just really stick to it. A lot of people get they put SEO on the back burner just because if you go to like an SEO agency or a firm, I mean, it's easily $1,000 a month, and they're going to tell you, especially if you haven't done any work on your website yet, expect 6 months to a year before you're actually going to see results. And that's a lot of money to just, put up front with no results and just wait on it. So just action items. I think Carrot has like a 30-day plan where they give you like, so many activities to custom your website and all that. But really, I mean, as you go through it, just learning, a little bit more about it. And it's like, hey, one of the things that I just like to Google is like best high-powered backlinks to get. And then from there, you just kind of go down a rabbit hole, right? And it's And if you think about it, if you're Googling these questions onto Google, pay attention to the top result, right? I mean, that's what we're trying to do, is be the top result. So whatever the top results are telling you, obviously it is good advice. So,
yeah. Awesome. Well, really good stuff. Thanks for sharing all that today.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Christina, you've been in Investor Fuel for a little while now. And you've been hugely helpful for people in the SEO space. Because like you said, a lot of us are like, they know it's important, but they're like, I just don't get to it. It's not the hottest fire I have today. But
right.
So you've been very valuable and a big giver in the group. Could you share just your experience so far in the group, like what it's been like in terms of how it's impacted your business or your life?
Oh my gosh, it's just been, the whole journey of being in real estate or a real estate investor, it can be kind of lonely. Like, especially like I have a home office. Most of what I do is all from my computer, and just being around other people who are doing it and have the same like passions and likes, and just like to talk about this kind of stuff, because I don't have too many friends that I just go and talk real estate with, or so just being around people that have the same interests that I do has been probably my most favorite part. But it's just so motivating too, because I'm for sure the smallest one in there, and so there's tons you can learn from everyone, and just to see like everyone in there has all of the same problems I do, right? And how to see how other people are handling stuff, and it's funny too. I was talking with my husband. It was before one of the last meetings, and I had like 3 deals that were like right on the cusp of closing. And I was just like going and saying like, I need these to close before Investor Fuel. Like I need to have something to show when I come. So it's just motivating. You don't want to like turn up to the next meeting and not have some sort of work to show everyone. So that's just been for me the most exciting part. Is it's just motivating. It's like I can't go and be in that room with all these like crazy badasses and then not have any deals.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, thanks for sharing. Yeah, there definitely is an accountability level to it. It kind of forces you to. A lot of people, our meetings are typically every 90 days roughly. So you kind of use that as like a quarterly milestone of like, how am I progressing, and forces you to, up your game a little bit, because you're coming, like you said, nobody's gonna like beat you up if you haven't achieved your goals. The only person that cares most about your goals should be you. But there is some accountability level to it of like, hey, I want to come prepared to show that I've progressed, right? So
yeah, absolutely. And just progress.
Awesome. Well, we appreciate you in the group for sure. Hey, if folks wanted to get a hold of you, learn more about you, I know you just said you're not in love with social media, which is good. Probably most people that use it all the time are not in love with it. They just are addicted to it. But if folks wanted to connect with you, where can they go?
Yeah, Facebook, I'm Cristina Kudlock, and Instagram, the same, Cristina Kudlock. I'm on both of those. Probably
Cool.
or
we'll add some links down.
Yeah, or email Cristina.kudlock@gmail.com. You can reach me there too. That would probably be the fastest.
We'll add some links down below in the show notes. So great to see you today.
Yeah, good to see you too.
Thanks for sharing with us. Yeah, awesome. Well, everybody, hope you got some good value there. And SEO is one of those things that it's easy to not get to because it's not the hottest fire. But I think if you chip away at it a little bit at a time and you kind of have a goal, it's kind of like saving for retirement. Like it just builds up over time, right? And you get to the point to where hopefully you have this insurmountable wall that is hard for other people to compete with because you started early enough and took some focus on it. So,
hopefully this will get someone inspired to just start chipping away.
Yep, absolutely. But everybody, thanks for joining us for today's episode. I hope you got some good value. Thanks, Cristina, for sharing some great information with us.
Yeah.
If you haven't yet checked us out at Investor Fuel, our next meeting is actually coming up pretty fast. You can go to investorfuel.com and learn a little bit more about us. We'd love to jump on a call and see if we're a fit for you and learn a little bit more about you. Yeah. So appreciate everybody. We'll see you on the next episode.
Are you an active real estate investor? If so, and you want to latch on to the power of surrounding yourself with over 100 of the nation's leading real estate investors, all committed to building stronger businesses and living richer, fuller lives, you should jump on a call with us to learn more about Investor Fuel. Simply visit investorfuel.com to get started.